වීඩියෝ ඇමතුම්ද සමග මැසෙන්ජර් සේවාවන් රැසකට සහ POTV Go සඳහා නොමිලේ ඩේටා ශ්‍රී ලංකා ටෙලිකොම්.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජි රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Hidden in plain sight, Easter attack investigations uncover weapons training camps in eastern regions. Double trouble. Health Minister urges the public, don't forget about the dengue threat. Freedom at stake. Human rights activists say police warning on criticism of officials has a chilling effect on freedom of expression. After the virus has gone, Sri Lanka's ambassador for science, technology and innovation speaks on what Sri Lanka needs to do after COVID-19. All this and more coming up on First at 9 this Wednesday, the 29th of April, 2020.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9.
හැටනමයි අනුහතට SMS කර රුපියල් මිලියන 3ක මුල්තැන්ගේ උපකරණ දිනාගෙන අවුරුද්දෙම කුස්සිය ටයිම් සේව් කරගන්න.
Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
And a very warm welcome to your English newscast on AdaDerana 24. I'm Indira Yamuatha. Coordinated probes by the Criminal Investigations Department and Terrorist Investigation Division involving the questioning of a suspect currently in custody have made a startling revelation of training camps in the Trincomalee district used to provide weapons training to Islamic extremists. Further investigations have also uncovered an organisation located in the Puttalam district that has been used to promote extremist ideologies to possible recruits using sermons and video propaganda. It was revealed that several of the Easter attackers, including mastermind Zaharan Hashim, had conducted sermons at the location.
Police media spokesman SP Jalia Senaratne held a media briefing today where he revealed that the questioning of a suspect currently in detention on terrorism charges has uncovered a location in Sampur in the Trincomalee district that was used to provide training in the use of automatic weapons to extremist terrorists.
පසුගිය සතියේ විමර්ශනවලදී අනාවරණය කරගැනීමට හැකියාව ලැබුණා සාම්පූර් ප්‍රදේශයේ අවි පුහුණුව සඳහා යොදාගත් ස්ථානයක් පිළිබඳව දැනට ත්‍රස්තවාදී විමර්ශන කොට්ටාශයේ රඳවා ගැනීමේ නියෝග මත රඳවාගෙන සිටින සැකකරුවෙකුගෙන් අනාවරණය වූ තොරතුරු සහ මේ වෙන විටත් ත්‍රස්තවාදී විමර්ශන කොට්ටාශය අනාවරණය කරගත් අනෙකුත් තොරතුරුත් සමග මෙම පුහුණු කඳවුර පැවැත් වූ ස්ථානය පිළිබඳව අනාවරණය කරගන්නට හැකියාව ලැබුණා. ඒ වගේම දැනට අපගේ අත්අඩංගුවේ සිටින සැකකරුවෙකු එම ස්ථානය මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් විමර්ශනය කරනු ලබන නිලධාරීන්ට පෙන්වා දුන්නා ගිය සතියේ එම ස්ථානයේදී දැනට අනාවරණ වෙලා තියෙන තොරතුරු අනුව අවි පුහුණුවක් ලබා දී තිබෙනවා යම් තැනැත්තන් ගණනාවකට ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඔවුන්ට මූලික අවි පුහුණුවක් අවි ගැලවීම අවි පිරිසුදු කිරීම නැවත සවි කිරීම සහ එක් අවි වලින් කරනු ලබන කෘත්‍යයන් සහ ඊට අදාළව අවි පාවිච්චි කිරීමේදී මොන කාර්යයන් සඳහා පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන් ආදී කරුණු මේ කඳවුරේදී පුහුණුව ලබා දීලා තිබෙනවා දැනුවත් කර තිබෙනවා ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ වෙනුවට
Meanwhile, CID and TID sleuths had also uncovered details of an organisation in the Puttalam district that had been recruiting individuals and organising sermons promoting extremist religious views. Several of the Easter Sunday bombers, including mastermind Zaharan Hashim, had conducted these sermons at the organisation's location and used it to identify and target individuals to assist their cause.
ඒ වගේම පුත්තලම ප්‍රදේශයේ පවත්වාගෙන ගියපු එක්තරා සංවිධානයක් පිළිබඳව තොරතුරු අනාවරණය වුණා. මේ සංවිධානයේට යම් තැනැත්තන් බඳවාගෙන ඔවුන්ට දේශන පවත්වලා තිබෙනවා අන්තවාදයේ පිළිබඳව විවිධ වීඩියෝ දර්ශන පෙන්වලා දීලා තියෙනවා. පාස්කු ඉරුදින බෝම්බ ප්‍රහාරයේ සංවිධානය කර ක්‍රියාත්මක කර එක් චරිතයක් වන සහරාන් යන අයද එම ස්ථානයට ගොස් ඒ තැනැත්තන්ට දේශන පවත්වලා තියෙනවා. වීඩියෝ දර්ශන පෙන්වලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම යම් ආගම සම්බන්ධ අන්තවාදී අදහස් එහිදී ඇතුළත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒත් එක්කම අනෙකුත් බෝම්බකරුවන් කීප දෙනෙකුත් ඒ අයට දේශන පවත්වලා ඒ අය අන්තවාදී අදහස් පතරවලා ඒ අය නැඹුරු කරගෙන තිබෙනවා ඉදිරියේදී මේව කටයුත්ත ඉදිරියට කරගෙන යාම සඳහා සහාය ලබා දෙන්න. ඒ හරහා එම සංවිධානයේ යම් තෝරාගත් සමාජිකයන් පිරිසකගේ අදහස් අදහස් වෙනස් කරලා ඒ අය නැඹුරු කර ගැනීමට කටයුතු කරලා තියෙනවා මේ කටයුතු ඉදිරියට පවත්වාගෙන යාම සම්බන්ධ. දැනට අපි ඒට අදාළ සැකකරුවන් කීප දෙනෙකු අත්අඩංගුවට ගෙන තියෙනවා. ඒ සැකකරුවන් පිළිබඳව අපිට සම්බන්ධතා තහවුරු වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, responding to media questions, SP Sanaratna made a further revelation of another training camp, this time in the Topur area of the Trincomalee district, where CID sleuths had found a weapons cache used for training purposes.
තෝපුර ප්‍රදේශයේ විමර්ශන කටයුතු වලට අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ ත්‍රස්තවාද විමර්ශන කොට්ටාශය ගිහිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ප්‍රදේශයේදී හඳුනාගෙන තිබෙනවා යම් පුහුණු කඳවුරක් ඇටියට පවත්වාගෙන ගිය ස්ථානයක්.
එම ස්ථානයේ පරීක්ෂා කිරීමේදී පසුගිය 24 වෙනිදා CID කණ්ඩායමක එම ඉඩම පරීක්ෂා කරා කියලා තොරතුරු වාර්තා වෙනවා. එම ඉඩමේ තිබිලා යම්කිසි අවියායුධ සොයාගෙන තියෙනවද ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් කොහොමද සිදු කරන විමර්ශන?
දැනට අවියායුධ කීපයක් හොයාගෙන තියෙනවා. ඒ අවියායුධ ඒ පුහුණුව සඳහා පාවිච්චි කරපු ආයුධ බවට දැන් හඳුනාගෙන තියෙනවා. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉදිරි විමර්ශන කටයුතු කරනවා.
නිෂ්පාදිත දිනය කවදත් අලුත් වටවල තේ අරගන්න.
වටවල තේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ තේ එක.
After days of high COVID-19 numbers among security forces personnel, only 11 patients were reported so far today, raising the country's total to 630. Out of them, 3 COVID-19 carriers are identified as naval personnel. Out of the total coronavirus infections in the country, 1/3 are sailors attached to the Valisara Navy camp. Meanwhile, releasing a statement, the Government Medical Officers Association called on the government to make the safety of the country's frontliners in the fight against coronavirus an utmost priority during this time of ordeal by providing them with adequate protective gear.
During the 7-week period since the detection of the first local COVID-19 case on March 11th, the highest number of infected patients was reported in the past week. With the 31 patients identified yesterday, 309 people have been diagnosed with COVID-19 this week. Since the detection of the first infected Navy sailor on the 22nd of April, 308 newly diagnosed COVID-19 infections were reported as of today, including 235 naval personnel. During the past 8 days, barring clusters of infected Navy personnel at the Valisara Navy base, only 73 COVID-19 infected persons were detected from within quarantine facilities and during field observations. Of the 31 cases identified yesterday, 21 were naval personnel and 4 from among army personnel. With a total of 155 cases reported, Colombo continues to top the list of districts with the highest number of COVID-19 patients. In the districts of Kalutara, Gampaha and Putlam, which are also classified as high-risk zones, 63, 47 and 41 coronavirus patients have been detected respectively. With the detection of 2 more patients from the Kurunegala district, the numbers rose to 20 today. So far, the districts of Nuwara, Kilinochchi, Mana and Mullaitivu has been spared from the virus's reach. In the meantime, with the identification of 4 COVID-19 patients from Dabare Mawata in Narahempita and from Hattavatta in Torrington Avenue, 160 people suspected to have been exposed to the virus underwent PCR testing. However, test results have confirmed that none of the 160 individuals tested were COVID-19 positive. Following the detection of COVID-19 positive sailor in the Agalavatta area who returned home on leave from the Valisara Navy base, residents from the neighbourhood were transported to the IDH hospital where they were subjected to PCR tests. According to reports, the sailor's mother, father, wife and child along with another youth from the neighbourhood have so far tested positive for the virus. Another sailor on leave residing in the Padavi area too has been diagnosed with COVID-19. Meanwhile, according to a decision made by the Anuradhapura District Chamber of Commerce, shops in the district were closed today and will continue to be shut down tomorrow as well. The decision was made due to the gradual increase in the number of infected persons detected in the district. As a result, all shops in Nochiyagama, Eppavala, Talava and Tamuttegama were seen closed today. The Traders Association in Navalapita today also took a decision to close down shops in the area following reports that a COVID-19 carrier had frequented the area. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Engineering Corp yesterday handed over a newly refurbished quarantine centre at the National Mental Health Institute in Angoda to hospital administrators. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Navy handed over a Medimate remote-controlled smart device to the Negombo District General Hospital officials yesterday, which will be used to treat COVID-19 patients. This smart device can be used by healthcare workers to diagnose ailments, communicate with patients, and dispense medication and meals to them without the need to expose staff to infected patients. Meanwhile, with the detection of 8 new cases of coronavirus today, the total number of infected currently stands at 627. The number includes 486 active cases and a further 134 patients who have been sent home after complete recoveries. Currently, 250 others are under medical observation on suspicion. Meanwhile, the Government Medical Officers Association has called on the government to take further precautions to ensure the safety of the country's healthcare and military personnel engaged in combating the virus. Releasing a statement, the GMO has urged the government to provide these personnel with adequate personal protective equipment, calling it a national responsibility. In the meantime, another Sri Lankan Airlines charter flight took off to New Delhi in India today to airlift Sri Lankan students unable to return home due to travel restrictions. Carrying 143 passengers, the flight landed in the country this evening.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා යුද හමුදා විසින් පවත්වාගෙන යනු ලබන පූනානි නිරෝධායන මධ්‍යස්ථානය වෙත නිරෝධායන සඳහා සම්බන්ධ කිරීමට නියමිතව තිබෙනවා. මේ වන විට ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදාව විසින් පවත්වාගෙන යනු ලැබූ නිරෝධායන මධ්‍යස්ථාන තුලින් පුද්ගලයන් 4659 දෙනෙකු තම නිරෝධායන කටයුතු අවසන් වී නිවෙස් බලා පිටස්ව ගොස් තිබෙනවා. එසේම නාරහෙම්පිට ප්‍රදේශයේ කොවිඩ් 19 වෛරසය ආසාදිත පුද්ගලයන් හමුවීම සමග ඊයේ දිනේ පුද්ගලයන් 69 දෙනෙකු ධම්මින්න නිරෝධායන මධ්‍යස්ථාන වෙත නිරෝධායන ක්‍රියාවලියකට යොමු කිරීමට කටයුතු කරනු ලැබුවා. එසේම නාවික හමුදාවේ අපගේ වීරෝදාර රණවිරුවන් ආසාදිත වූ රණවිරුවන්ගේ ළඟින් ඇසුරු කරපු අයලුන් 184 දෙනෙකු පොම්පෙවඩු නිරෝධායන මධ්‍යස්ථාන වෙත රැගෙන යාමටත් කටයුතු කරනු ලැබුවා. ඒ අනුව ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදාව මගින් පාලනය කරන නිරෝධායන මධ්‍යස්ථාන 32ක් තුළ අද දින වන විට 3609 දෙනෙකු නිරෝධායන වෙමින් පවතිනවා.
කොරෝනා වෛරසය පැතිරීම වළක්වන්න සබන් යොදා දෑත් සෝදන්න.
With some countries entering a gradual easing of lockdown stage in the global COVID-19 pandemic, the million-dollar question remains, where next and how do we go forward amidst a virus that has taken the world by surprise? To answer some of these questions in brief, in a local context, of course, we have with us Sri Lanka's Ambassador for Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Bandula Vijay, who's joining us from the United States via video conferencing to speak on what Sri Lanka needs to do to rebuild a more resilient economy and how the country can position itself as one of the most promising nations in the region. Dr. Vijay, thank you very much for joining us. Now, yes, we need to spur economic activity, but what do we start? Where do we go from here?
Oh, thank you for having me, Indivari. The question we have to ask is, what do we go from there? What lessons have we learned in facing this pandemic? Mm-hmm. So from those lessons, then we can think, what is it that we need to do in order to kickstart our economy? So some of the areas that has come to our observation is, for example, the agriculture sector. Everybody needs food, and are we taking sufficient emphasis on agriculture to be done locally? Mm-hmm. In order to do that, we need to elevate the status of our farmer. We need to make the farmer, bring him to the elite class. One of the other things that we faced was the lack of medicines. Medicines are quite easy to manufacture. Mm-hmm. Most of the medicines are manufactured in India, for example, are basically chemicals mixed together in certain formulations. So we should consider manufacturing these medicines in Sri Lanka in the future. Same thing is true of medical device supplies like face masks and whatnot, ventilators and so on. So we need to put some emphasis on making sure that we have these supplies in the event that this would happen again. So how do we do this? One of the things that I have talked before to you and others is we need to emphasize on our education. We need to entice our younger generation at the universities and those who are not in the universities to help to kickstart this economy based on entrepreneurship, that they take the leadership role in building these products for us in Sri Lanka. These can be done.
Now, Dr. Vijay, you bring us to a very important part of this conversation. You, as the Ambassador for Science, Technology, Research, Innovation of Sri Lanka, you live in the United States. Over 1 million cases reported in the United States when globally the number of cases hit, twice, one third of the cases are reported from the United States. But here in Sri Lanka, let's talk about the recovery, COVID-19, how you see it from the United States. And also, as you talk about youth participation, economic recovery and innovation, how do we bring all of them and spur startups? Because we are looking within now. There's so much of a hindrance to global trade and also that kind of engagement with the rest of the world.
Yes, that is a very good question. Actually, we are very happy to see the management of the disease, the pandemic in Sri Lanka. I think the government of Sri Lanka has done a tremendous job. The number of cases are still under control, still very low percentage-wise compared to the population of 21 million people. And also the fact that the laws that have been brought up for lockdown, curfew, and all those things have done quite well and served the purpose of controlling the pandemic. So therefore, congratulations to the government of Sri Lanka for doing that. Now, you talk about the United States. Of course, this is a big country. There are a lot of issues here that it's not that easy to control. Our culture is very different from let's say Sri Lanka or India. But I'm only hoping that pretty soon in the next couple of months that our curves will flatten out and we can also do the same of restarting our economy. Now, you asked me about the how do we come out of this?
Right.
You just have to identify those key factors that are important. Of course, the foreign exchange is important. So what are those key factors? Export economy, the tourist economy. These are important. Now, one of the things that I have always talked about is we should export value-added products. There have been so much of development done in Sri Lanka, in graphene, for example, for example. So these are products that will fetch a very larger income, larger price than, let's say, something that is very, very low value added, for example, garments. I'm not saying that we should not manufacture, produce and export garments, but along with that, we should start thinking what else can we manufacture and export that has more value added. The other thing is education. We can be the country that exports education rather than sending our kids all over the world and then in these situations send airplanes to bring those children back. We should be having education as a business. We should be able to educate students from other countries in Sri Lanka. We have a very high standard of education. We have a lot of good teachers. So we should look at education as another possibility.
You're talking about foreign exchange. Yes, before you go on further, we have just about 2 minutes more, Dr. Vijay, on the news. I'd like to add one final question to our discussion. Innovation, especially to deal with the future of post-COVID Sri Lanka, because you are a Sri Lankan who has made us all proud. You've moved to the United States. Innovations in the health and scientific areas. We see a lot of youth engaged in innovations during this lockdown period, during curfew, during this period they seek to enhance Sri Lanka's productivity, manufacturing industries. But what is the way forward? How do we allow them here to move ahead?
Now, one of the things about innovation is it needs guidance. So it needs guidance it needs guidance in sorry.
Yes, I think we have a difficulty with your video camera. We're trying to connect to you, Dr. Vijay. Are you? Okay. Yes. Okay. I think we have you on air again. Yes, please talk.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to innovation, one of the things that I have noticed is there are so many new innovations, or at least new products or existing products that been manufactured or prototyped in Sri Lanka in different universities, in the the military, for example. This is very good. I'm very, very happy to see that happen. This we should continue. This is not something we should do in the event of a pandemic. This is something we should be doing every day. So that kind of skills and the talent pool, we have it. And I'm very happy to see that. Except that we must continue this. It should be part of our education system. Not do it only during a pandemic, but it should be done on a regular basis.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Bandula Vijay, Sri Lanka's Science, Technology and Innovation Ambassador for Sri Lanka, joining us from the United States to talk about what Sri Lanka will be in the post-COVID era. We move on to other local news. Police media spokesperson SP Jalia Senaratne cleared the air today regarding the legality of the imposition of curfew, saying that the curfew had been imposed based on the Quarantine and Prevention of Diseases Ordinance number 3 of 1897. He added that the procedure put in place with regard to the ID card roster was not a law, but rather a set of guidelines for the people to follow using their own self-discipline.
The curfew was once again lifted for 21 districts excluding the designated high-risk zones, Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara and Putlam. Just as yesterday, a lower number of people were seen frequenting the cities following the lifting of the curfew. Technically, people possessing the numbers 7 and 8 on the national identity cards were able to leave their homes today to purchase essential goods. Meanwhile, the curfew will continue to be in effect in designated high-risk zones until 5 a.m. on the 4th of May. Essential service vehicles entering the Trincomalee district from other districts were inspected at the Akbopura security post in Kantale, while the drivers were subjected to disinfection. However, entry was denied to some individuals as they were unable to produce required health reports issued by public health inspectors of their areas. Meanwhile, following a statement by a lawyer representing MP Ranjan Ramanayaka after his release on bail for curfew violations and obstruction charges on the basis of the curfew being illegal, the police media spokesperson offered a clarification.
බස්නාහිර පළාත පුත්තලම දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ හැර දිවයින අනෙකුත් ප්‍රදේශවල ඇඳින නීතිය දිවා කාලයේදී වත් කරලා තියෙනවා. එම ප්‍රදේශවල ජනතාවගෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොලිසිය ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා එක් රැස්වීම වැළකී කටයුතු කරන්න. ඒ වගේම යම් උපමාන කීපයක් පහුගිය දිනවල පොලිස් තුමායිසින් අඳුන්වා දී තිබුණා. ඒ උපමානවලට අනුගතව කටයුතු කරන්න කියලා ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. ඒ වගේම මෙම ඇඳින නීතිය පැනවීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඇඳින නීතිය පැනවීම සඳහා බලයක් නැහැ. නීත්‍යානුකූල නොවන ඇඳින නීතියක්. ඒ සඳහා ඉදිරිපත් වුණු එක්තරා නීතිඥ මහත්මයෙක් විසින් කරුණු ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තිබුණා. නීත්‍යානුකූල නොවන බව අධිකරණයට පෙන්වලා දුන්නා. ඒ අනුව ඔහුගේ සේවාදායකයා අපමත මුදා හැරියයි. මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොලිසිය නැවත මෝසමක් මගින් ඒ නඩුව ඊයේ කැඳවීමට කටයුතු කරා. නමුත් අධිකරණයේ අවස්ථාවේදී පැහැදිලිවම ඇඳින නීතිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් කිසිම නියෝගයක් නිකුත් කළේ නැහැ හෙට කලින් දවසේ. ඒ සැකකරු සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපනියම කිරීම කරේ ඇඳින නීතියට අදාළ නෛතික තත්ත්වය මත නෙවෙයි. ඒ අනුව ඇඳින නීතිය පිළිබඳව කිසිම විවාදයක් ඒ අධිකරණයේ සිදු කළේ නැහැ කියලා. අනුව ඇඳින නීතිය පැනවීම 1897 අංක 3 දරන නිරෝධායන සහ රෝග වැළැක්වීමේ ආඥා පනත යටතේ නීත්‍යානුකූලව පැවරලා තියෙන බලතල යටතේ සෞඛ්‍ය සේවා අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජෙනරාල් වරයා විසින් පොලිස්පතිතුමාට පවරා ඇති බලතල යටතේ මේ ඇඳින නීති ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන බව. ඒ අනුව ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් දැනට තියෙන නෛතික ප්‍රතිපාදන ඉතාමත්ම ප්‍රමාණවත් සහ ඉතාමත්ම පැහැදිලි නිශ්චිතයි. ඒ අනුව තමයි නීත්‍යානුකූලව ඇඳින නීතිය පනවන්නේ. ඒත් එක්කම මේ හැඳුනුපත් අංකය පාවිච්චි කිරීම නීතියක් නෙවෙයි. යම් ක්‍රමවේදයකට අනුගත වීම සඳහා පමණක් ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තිබෙන අවස්ථාවක්. මහ ජනතාවට අනුගත වීම සඳහා ස්වයං පාලනයක් ඇති කිරීම සඳහා ගෙන වැඩපිළිවෙලක්. ඒ අනුව මහ ජනතාවගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටින්නේ ඔබ දැනුවත් වෙලා සිටින්න. ඔබට යම් අවශ්‍යතාවයක් සඳහා නගරයට යන්න එහෙම නැත්නම් නිවසෙන් බැහැරට යන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා නම් ඒ අවස්ථාවේදී ඔබගේ හැඳුනුම්පත් අංකයේ තියෙන අග ඉලක්කම අනුව ඔබට වෙන් කරලා තියෙන දිනේදීම ඒ සඳහා යන්න. දැනට ඇඳින නීති ඉවත් කර තියෙන ප්‍රදේශවලදී කටයුතු කරන්න. ඉදිරියේදී ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් වෙනත් වැඩපිළිවෙලක් ක්‍රියාත්මක වුණොත් ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපි ජනතාව දැනුවත් කරන්න කටයුතු කරනවා.
Well, the Human Rights Council of Sri Lanka has written to the acting IGP CD Wickramaratne, highlighting a list of concerns with regard to a media statement issued by the police, warning the public of legal action against those found criticising public officials under the Quarantine Ordinance and the Disaster Management Act. The media statement, the Commission says, has chilling effect on people's freedom of expression and conveys the message that criticism of officials will not be tolerated, freedoms which are enshrined in the country's constitution and upheld by judgments of the Supreme Court.
Chairperson of the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka, Professor Deepika Udugama, has written to acting IGP CD Wickramaratne, highlighting concerns over a media statement issued by the Police Media Division warning of legal action against those criticising public officials. The letter points to a spate of recent arrests by the police on the basis of statements made over social media, especially in the context of the spread of the COVID-19 virus in the country. The Human Rights Commission says that while it recognizes the need to lawfully curb misinformation that can cause panic and pose a threat to public order and health, such arrests must be legally valid, must not be arbitrary, disproportionate or discriminatory. The Commission points out that the legal basis for the use of provisions of Section 120 of the Penal Code, the Computer Crimes Act, the Quarantine Ordinance and the Disaster Management Act cited in B reports is questionable and can only be invoked when a regulation made under the ordinance has been violated. The Commission adds that it is not clear how the alleged statements for which various persons have been arrested violate any of the existing regulations made under the ordinance or how they obstruct the discharging of the duties of public officials. Similarly, the Commission says that it is questionable whether Section 24 of the Disaster Management Act can be invoked in the absence of a Parliament-approved proclamation declaring a state of disaster in the country as required by Section 11 of the Act. The letter adds that such warnings are bound to have a serious chilling effect on people's freedom of expression and conveys the message that criticism of officials will not be tolerated. Professor Udugama also states that the right to comment on and criticize the performance of public officials or any policy is a fundamental aspect of a democratic society and that it is through criticism and commentary that governance is improved and democracy strengthened, the principles of which have been firmly established by a series of authoritative judgments of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. In this backdrop, the letter adds, such arrests can be labelled unconstitutional. The Commission also drew the IGP's attention to a letter sent by the Commission dated 3rd April 2020 urging action under Section 3 of the ICCPR Act against those attempting to incite religious division and hatred in the context of the current health crisis. In closing, the letter says that while it is essential to ensure that Section 3 of the ICCPR Act is invoked in a non-discriminatory manner, the failure to do so relegates a law to a weapon to be used against certain communities, thereby defeating the very purpose for which it was enacted by Parliament.
The Postal Department will recommence postal operations across the island starting from the 4th of May. In addition to normal postal services, the department has planned on offering a range of new ones to assist the public in the wake of the COVID-19 outbreak in the country.
The Postal Department announces that all payments for the month of May, including public assistance, monthly allowances, elderly allowances, farmers' pensions and pensions, can be made via post offices starting from the 4th of May. Accordingly, the public will be given an opportunity to pay water bills, electricity bills and telephone bills, make online transfers and hand over letters to post officers. Meanwhile, wholesale trade at the Manning Market resumed today, which was closed for more than 2 weeks due to the identification of COVID-19 carriers. As per the Manning Market Traders Association, the market was open for business from 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. and will continue to operate on that basis. Meanwhile, residents of the Kasbava Divisional Secretariat have alleged that Grama Seva officers of the Rejidelvatta Grama Seva Division have failed to provide the residents with the 5,000 rupee government allowance. However, the Old Ceylon Samurdhi Development and Agricultural Research Officers Association insists that the payment of the allowance has been done in a systematic manner through Samurdhi officers. Meanwhile, importers expressed displeasure over inconveniences faced due to the delays in accepting demurrage payments for the release of goods at the Colombo port. In the meantime, police arrested a number of individuals today for illegal sand mining and transportation. 27 vehicles used to transport sand were seized by the Forest Conservation Department. They were arrested on charges of failing to renew their licenses to transport sand. The move, however, was objected by the sand miners.
අපේ පොමිට් එකේ කාලය අලුත් කරන්න කියලා එයාලා කියනවා අලුත් කරන්න බලධාරීන් විසින් ඒ රජයේ සේවා ස්ථාන ඇරලා නැත්නම් අපි කොහෙන්ද ඒක අලුත් කරන්න කියන එක තමයි අපි රජෙන් අහන්නේ
Meanwhile, the Minister of Justice, Human Rights and Legal Reforms, Nimal Siripala de Silva, announced plans to introduce a new technology-based system to hold court cases.
ටෙලිකොම් සමාගම මගින් කොළඹ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ තියෙන සියලුම අධිකරණ හා රිමාන්ඩ් බන්ධනාගාර සමග සම්බන්ධතාවයක් ඇති කරගනිමින් මෙම ව්‍යාපෘතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරවීමටත් එවිට අපට මේ රිමාන්ඩ් බන්ධනාගාරවල සිටින අය උසාවියට ගෙන යාමට අවශ්‍යතාවයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Meanwhile, the Health Ministry has issued guidelines for supermarkets and restaurants as well as canteens to follow during the period when curfew is relaxed. To provide hand washing facilities at the entrance and make sure that customers wash their hands before entering. The floor, countertops and all common contact surfaces are advised to be cleaned and disinfected before opening for business. The entrance and exit doors should be kept open or dedicated individual must be deployed to open and close the doors. Only a designated number of customers must be allowed inside in order to maintain the mandatory 1 meter distance. Customers without masks must not be allowed in. Handles of the carts and baskets should be disinfected after being utilized by each customer. Selling of unpacked common retail items such as rice and dal should be avoided and they should be pre-packed and kept ready. Cashiers are advised to sanitize hands after serving each customer.
Back in the midst of the country's COVID-19 battle, Minister of Health Pavitra Vanniyarachchi has urged the public not to forget the deadly dengue menace in the country, which has almost seen 100,000 cases last year alone. With rains predicted in the coming weeks, the minister requested the public to take advantage of the stay-at-home orders and clean up their living spaces of possible dengue breeding grounds in order to prevent a double catastrophe in the country.
A discussion on the steps to be taken to deal with the possible dengue outbreak in the country was held today at the Ministry of Health under the patronage of Health Minister Pavitra Vanniyarachchi, along with officials of the National Dengue Control Unit. According to data provided by the Epidemiology Unit, this year has seen 18,742 cases of dengue reported so far. Last year, Sri Lanka experienced almost 100,000 dengue cases throughout the country. At the discussions, it was agreed that if dengue prevention measures are curtailed due to the COVID-19 threat, the country could face a catastrophic situation.
අමාත්‍යංශයක් විදිහට රටක් විදිහට ජනතාවගෙන් ඉල්ලා හිටිනවා ඉදිරියේදී ඩෙන්ගු මර්ධන ව්‍යාපාරයටත් ඔබේ සහයෝගය අප වෙත ලබා දෙන්න කියලා. ඒ සඳහා හොඳම කාලය මේ කාලය. මොකද ඔබ නිවසේ රැඳී සිටින කාල සීමාව තුල මදුරුවන් බෝවීමට ඇති සියලු ඉඩකඩ ඇහිරවීම සඳහා තමන්ගේ යම් කාලයක් කැප කරන්න කියලා ඉල්ලා හිටිනවා. විශේෂයෙන් වතුර එකතු වෙන ස්ථාන සහ භාණ්ඩ පුළුවන් තරමක් අයින් කරලා ඩෙන්ගු මර්ධන ව්‍යාපාරයට ඔබේ සහයෝගය ලබා දෙන්න.
And we'll return with more news after this short break. In your business news, Fitch Ratings Sri Lanka has downgraded Sri Lankan Airlines dollar government guaranteed unsecured bonds to a B negative rating from its previous B rating. Fitch says that this rating action came about as a similar downgrade was done on the sovereign long-term foreign and local currency issuer default rating to B negative as well.
Fitch Ratings has downgraded the rating on Sri Lankan Airlines $175 million government guaranteed 7% unsecured bonds due on 25th June 2024 to B negative from B. The rating action follows downgrade of Sri Lanka's long-term foreign and local currency issuer default ratings to B negative from B with a negative outlook. The national carrier's bonds are rated at the same level as SLA's parent, the Sri Lankan state, due to the unconditional and irrevocable guarantee provided by the state to the airline. The Sri Lankan government held 99.5% of Sri Lankan Airlines at end 2019 through direct and indirect holdings. In its derivation summary, Fitch says that the rating is not derived from the issuer's standalone credit profile and thus is not comparable with that of industry peers. Fitch says that an upgrade of the sovereign rating could individually or collectively lead to positive rating action or an upgrade, while a further sovereign downgrade could see the same happening to Sri Lankan Airlines bonds. For Sri Lanka's sovereign rating, the following sensitivities were outlined by Fitch in its rating action commentary of 24th April 2020 that could individually or collectively lead to a negative rating action or a downgrade. They include a further increase in external funding stress reflected in a narrowing of funding options and weaker refinancing capacity that threatens its ability to meet external debt repayments. Prolonged policy uncertainty that contributes to a loss of investor confidence and failure to arrest the upward trajectory of the general government debt-to-GDP ratio, potentially reflecting an inability to constrain the fiscal deficit. Sensitivities that could lead to positive rating action or upgrade for the sovereign were outlined as an improvement in external finances, supported by higher non-debt inflows, or a reduction in external sovereign refinancing risks from an improved liability profile. Improved policy coherence and credibility leading to more sustainable public and external finances and a reduction in the risk of debt distress. Stronger public finances underpinned by a credible medium-term fiscal consolidation strategy.
Asian shares rose from a third session today as investors took heart from easing coronavirus lockdown in some parts of the world, while oil prices jumped on hopes that demands will pick up. Hong Kong's benchmark Hang Seng Index rose 0.64% in early trading, standing at 24,732.02 points. In South Korea, the Korea Composite Stock Price Index opened up 7.52 points to close at 1,941.61. The Shanghai Composite Index started down, dropping 0.3% to 2,801.38. Japan's markets, however, were closed for a public holiday. And that wraps up tonight's edition of First at 9. Good night.